Can something as beautiful as this be dying? A plague is ruining the land, but the tree of life still stands. Question is, for how long? End is coming to the new world. The tribes stand divided, in need of someone strong enough to unite them, or bring them all down. This is a story with an unusual beginning. So, let's expect an unusual end.
Hello, my name is Sean, aka the Cockney Charmer. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my latest video on BIOMUTANT. I am playing on PS5. This came out on Tuesday of last week at time of recording, so it came out on the 25th for Xbox, PlayStation and PC. First announced in 2017, this is a game that was highly anticipated but then vanished into development hell. Probably not helped by the last 16 months of the global bastard pandemic. But here it is. It is finally here. What I wanted to do was go through the prologue. So this would be this would be a two-part look at the prologue. I'm going to go through the customization, class structure, the basics of the game, and then just talk about my initial findings of it. I have streamed this a few times. I've probably put about 15 hours into it so far. So this is just me putting my thoughts down on the prologue. Hopefully you might find it useful. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will. But if so, please do hit that like button and do share and subscribe to the channel. It helps me enormously.
Welcome to BIOMUTANT.
So we're going to start a brand new game. Yeah, let's overwrite this one. We'll stick on hard because I don't do medium. Now, of course, we start off with, as you can see from the opening cutscene, we're literally recreating that. But now we get to actually configure our character.
Encode your DNA.
So this is the type of furry creature that we get to have. If you notice on the right hand side, you can see all our stats. And depending on which breed you choose, will alter those levels accordingly. Now I am trying to build, I'm still trying to find a way of building a melee build. So for me, melee seems to go between Hyla and Rex. Rex is more health and armor and melee damage. Also looks more cattish. I'm not too bothered by the lack of intellect. Intellect only comes into puzzles. Let's try with Rex.
Define your genetic structure.
So, when you customize your character, you can pretty much... So, depending on which breed you have, by moving or trying to focus on one ability more than other, you can see it physically changes the build of your character. If you go for more balance, you just keep it centered. Now I really want to. I really want a hench, like a proper hench character. But as you can see, the cost of it is a lot. So I'm just gonna keep it centered. Maybe just boost the strength, just a tiny bit to give him a bit more strength. Gives him a little chubby face, which I kind of like.
Choose a genetic resilience.
Now these are all hazards in the world. I don't see the need to actually focus on one more than the others. Here, so heat, biohazard, cold, radioactivity. I don't really see a need to mess with that, so I'm just going to keep it centered.
Choose your first style.
Now, first style, and again, I think this does change depending on your breed. You will get a different. To me, this is pretty much just picking a hamster look. That's a big Kratos.
Pick your main color.
Now this, I'm still not convinced they've got this primary color and detail color mixed up, because
Choose your detail color.
the detail color colors the rest of your body rather than the markings, which seem to be colored as your primary. So it's a bit strange, but yeah, you can make your own little build. I'm gonna go for a Pikachu looking dude. Now your class is pretty much where you're starting off what your fighting style will be.
Commando.
Now, so Commando is one where you start off with a full range weapon, no melee weapons. PSI-FREAK is what you start off with, kind of electric power. It's kind of almost your mage type.
Saboteur.
Now I'm going for a melee build. So Deadeye starts you off with the two-handed Buster Sword of Cloud from Final Fantasy fame. Not bad, but it's very slow in combat, and also it takes a long time before you can start crafting a new or even upgrading it.
Saboteur.
So I'm going to try Saboteur. As you can see, 2 melee blades, the Psy. Maybe I can turn him into a bit of a Leonardo from Ninja Turtles and give him 2 Katana blades.
Saboteur chosen.
So here we go. Also got a cool little jacket.
Good choice.
Now the voice you can hear, the narrator you can hear, is that little robot cricket that you saw in the cutscene. He's an automaton. It actually took me a while to realise it was the cricket that was doing the narrating for me. I didn't quite get it.
Here's somebody with a troubled past, drawn into the spotlight of a story that's already begun. We're already at a crossroads, choosing a path in life.
Now, one of the things I will say about BIOMUTANT is that BIOMUTANT takes a lot of systems from a lot of different games and smooshes them all together for BIOMUTANT.
But for you, it's not only a crossroads.
One of the systems that it does use is if you played a Fable game, you will know the good or evil is based on your decisions and your actions. In Mass Effect, you have the Paragon Renegade system. BIOMUTANT takes those systems and brings them together. Now, in the main story, you are given a choice. There's either a bad way of doing stuff or a good way of doing stuff. And depending on which way you choose, will dictate how the story unfolds. But from a character point of view, you can choose whether you want to be light and good or dark and bad. Now, starting off at this point, this is only introducing you to the system. Your actions and your dialogue choices can take you further down the dark side or further down the light side. It all depends on how you want to play it, or whether you are one of those players who, like me, you just take it on the moment rather than actually saying, I'm going to be completely evil, I'm going to be completely good. But this is your first introduction to that kind of good or bad, and it's illustrated by using the black. There was a game by Lionhead Studios called Black and White, where you would have a devil and an angel on screen that would tempt you to either do a good thing or a bad thing. And here, the game does the same. Now, I'm going to go full Sith on this one. I'm dark red, as in strength and power. Colour me light blue for freedom and loyalty. So depending on where you want to go, Jedi or Sith, Paragon, Renegade, evil, good.
Let me introduce myself. I'm the light and bright side of you, or your inner voice to be precise. An echo of balance and consequence of your actions as you move forward.
Seems more like you're being light-headed if you ask me, but you'll come around eventually.
Okay.
But what comes around goes all the way back around. So, it's better to stick to your instincts. You can't fight what's in your nature.
In your nature, and here I was hoping we'd be all about natural selection, survival of the strongest and so forth. If that's not instinct, then I don't know what is.
So again, it's literally just showing you the fact that
Natural
your decisions, your
selection is all
choices,
about
by
evolution
actions,
and progress.
dialogue,
And
interaction
as soon
with
as there's
creatures,
enough
the missions
light,
that you do.
darkness will disappear.
And also the fact that you can change as you play. But it all shapes your character. And using a fork in a road is an interesting way of...
Right.
I mean, we can even see here if we... No, it's not letting me build the character menu yet. Okay. And now we get introduction.
Stories of death
To
from
the
the
combat.
bodies left behind. A reminder that we're at the mercy of nature and the one that preys on others.
So the world of Biomutant is one where humanity basically messed up the world. It's kind of an commentary on environmentalism. We messed up the world with toxic waste and pollution and everything else. So much so that humanity left the Earth in massive ships called arks and just left the Earth behind. And what is left is what has evolved from then. Such
Do
as
you remember the beast that shattered
furry
your family?
horses
Or
and
did
us.
you choose to forget? You turned your back on our world and got lost in your own. Meanwhile, the predator only grew stronger.
And now we replay the opening cutscene. So the combat in the game is very much if you've played Darksiders or you've played any kind of hack and slash. So our build, we have a pistol and we have our dual weapons. There's a power system. There are special attack moves that you can do. Perfect dodge. Now, when you're using the gun, the same way that you would move the camera with right stick out of combat is how you control the aiming. So it takes a bit of getting used to. Alright, well, let's take away your club. And now he's got a giant landmine on his back, which is a lot of us, so
This
we're
is
gonna...
not the time nor place to end this story.
Now you can unlock more moves, you can even craft new different weapon types. So the class system that you built to begin with, you can pretty much... You can't really change it. So like the PSI-FREAK one where you throw lightning as your main attack.
This time,
It's
it
probably
was
about the
best
only
to
one you
run
can't
and live
adopt.
to fight another
But if you
day.
base it, if you have a melee
Let us
build,
hope you're ready for it when it comes.
you can get new guns, you can craft new melee weapons, so you can in a way change your fighting style as you play through the game, other than the PSI-FREAK. And I will say this is definitely one of the better prologues, because there are a lot of systems
The wildlife started
at
to
play
mutate
in
when the end
Biomutant.
of
This
days
is a game
began,
that has
and the
taken
tree
a
of
lot
life
of
started
inspiration
to
from
die.
other action RPGs. You've already seen there's a good and bad player choice dynamic in the game. The melee combat, is also very reminiscent, but it's the systems working behind the scenes. The inventory system, the crafting system, the upgrade skill tree system. It's all very, very
Now that's
borrowed from other sources, and sometimes they complement each other, and sometimes it just gets very noisy, and they don't always work. Which is what I'm hoping that now, since it's only been a week since release, quite literally, I actually really like that. I actually really like the parry counter system. Now there's no enemy lock-on system here. I'm actually quite liking the dual weapons at this moment in time. The upgrading system for me is the one that's a little bit bloated. There's a lot going on. Not all of it makes a lot of sense. Some of it could have easily been streamlined into if they had made their own, instead of trying to see what was popular with other games and just adding it in. Weapon modules. So you can add elemental weapons, especially to your ranged weapons. I'm going to save it for later, because I don't think we currently need it now. Now you notice that our health will regenerate outside of combat, which is quite handy. But in combat, you need to use health packs. Some are useful, some aren't. You'll see what I mean when we go forward. Basically, you can see we pretty much lived in a world that used to be a very human world. And only bits and pieces of information I left behind as to why they left and what actually happened. No, I actually really like the way the game looks. And yes, on PlayStation 5, this game is running at 1080p upscale to 4K at 60 frames per second. And on the Xbox Series X, this is actually running at a full 4K 60 frames per second. No issue why they didn't do parity with the PS5, but there is an update coming for new gen consoles, which is to fully optimize it for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, which means that PS5 should get 4K and 60 frames per second
oil sludges
properly.
For most, it only means death.
It's a niggle.
Some have adapted to the new environment and changed with it. Evolution has its ways.
Yes, I know how to parry. Thank you very much. Now, one of the problems with the combat is enemies with guns do a lot of annoying damage.
Personal.
Like, they do a lot of chip damage, which is really frustrating.
Middle-lifed.
Right, they use the health pack. That gave me nothing at all, so it's probably a patch.
Right where it cuts. Deadly.
Right, big boy. Is it you and me now? Perfect dodge. Ah, the grab move. Big enemies can do this grab move, and there's no way out of it. It's really annoying. Now, if you can parry a big guy, you can automatically go into a kind of a you will stun them. Nice. Fallen enemies can be looted for healing items. That is probably one of my main complaints at this stage before the game actually gets an update. Taking on these big guys, the only reward you are likely to get is some kind of health pack. As you saw, at that point, we actually got energy pills for if we were using see, there's that grab move. I hate that grab power bomb move that he does. Coming after me, son. Coming after me. Ah!
It's starting to matter. Cutting edge.
Shoot me, big boy. Oh, okay. I can actually power the grab. I did not know that. Look, Joe.
Cut.
There we go. Lovely stuff. I do like the combat in this. I really do. The range stuff using gunplay. Yay! And what do we get for our reward? We get a what looks like sushi. More sushi. But thankfully, our health will actually regenerate outside of combat. So, yeah, don't finish a fight and immediately start applying health packs because you don't need to. Give it a few seconds and your health, as you can see, will start regenerating itself. I do wish that you got more reward, though, for taking out the big guys. Because you've just been nicer. So far we've had a quick look at the customization, we've had a quick look at building your character, we've had a bit of a quick look at your good versus evil build decision making that you will flow throughout the game. Now I'm going to end this as part 1, just so it keeps it nice and clean. In part 2 we'll complete the rest of the prologue and we'll see what happens when you start interacting with other characters and when you can start upgrading. So thank you very much for watching part 1. Part 2 of BIOMUTANT Prologue will be coming up right now. Speak to you soon.